what you'll need is some stuffing, some eyes with some backings. I have 16 to 20, I believe these are 18 size eyes. Whatever size you find best is great. I have a needle, I have a 5mm hook, a stitch marker. I have something to help me with the eyes just because my hands hurt. I have scissors, and then I have my yarn, which is gray and black in Premier Parfait Chunky. The purposes of this tutorial, I am going to switch out the black for this hot pink just because it's easier to see the stitches with a lighter color, and it is just going to be easier for the tutorial. So let's get started. Here is the pattern that we're going to be using. If you are okay with reading patterns and you just want to follow along with yourself, go ahead and take a screenshot right now. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to follow along, and I will show you each step that we're doing. And then this is going to be for later after the body is finished. So let's get started. So how we're going to start, the first row, as you can see, is a magic ring 7. So however you do your magic ring, whether you start with just stitches or however you want to do that, that's fine. You go ahead and you start your magic ring, your magic circle, starting your project, it doesn't matter how you do it, just as long as you get 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I'm going to close up my ring here. I believe it's this one. Yep. Just close that right there. I'm going to put my stitch marker in the stitch right behind where my hook is, because that is where I've left off. There we go. The next round is increases all the way around. So I count back from my stitch marker. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Increases are 2 single crochet in the same stitch from the previous round. So that's 1. I'm going back into the same one, and there is 2. So that is an increase. So you have 2 in that one from the previous. So you'll have 14 stitches all together. So 1, 2, so that's 4 in the 2 from the previous. So you see how that works? So you're increasing your round, and I'm gonna keep going, increasing in every single stitch until I get back to my stitch marker, and I will be right back. So we are done with the second round. We are gonna start the third round, and the third round is going to be single crochet and an increase. And you're gonna end up with 21 stitches in this row. So what I like to do is single crochet and then an increase. Again, an increase is 2 single crochet in the same stitch. So there is a set right here. So I'm going to do this until I get to the end. So again, single crochet and an increase, which is again 2 single crochet in the stitch from the previous row. Okay. So I'm going to do that until I get to the end, and I will be right back. So I'm finished with this row. So the fourth row is 2 single crochet and an increase. And this is just making the round part on the very top of the body just bigger and bigger, just by slowly increasing your single crochets and your increases. So 1, 2, and then an increase. 1 and 2. So that's 1 set right there. So I'm going to keep going until I have 28 stitches in this row. So again, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and an increase. And again, that's 2 single crochet in the same stitch. So I'm going to keep going, and I will be right back. So we're at the end of the 4th round. Now for the next 3 rounds, so the next 3 from 5 to 7 rows, I am going to just single crochet around. So this is just taking your 28 stitches and just kind of building on them. And this is the part that's going to start to kind of shape down a little bit for the head. So again, just single crochet. So just single crochet, all the way around 3 times, and make sure that you're moving your stitch marker when you need to at the end of each round so you don't lose your place. So again, just single crochet all the way around until you get 3 rows of your single crochet. Each of those rows is going to have 28 stitches. So this one right here, if you're following along with the pattern, we're going to have 3 rounds of single crochet of 28 stitches. So once I get done with those 3 rounds, I will come back. We're done with the 3 rounds, and as you can see, this is taking shape. And since I didn't do an increase out, it is starting to look more dome-like instead of just a flat round piece. So the next thing we want to do for the 8th row, so we're on this one right here. So the 8th row, we have 3 single crochet and an increase. So the last one we did to increase was 2 single crochet and an increase. So now we're going to do 3 and an increase. So just like before, so 1, 2, 3, and then of course the increase, which is the 2 single crochet again in the single stitch from the previous row. So there we go, we have that one. And I'm going to do this all the way around until I get to the end. So again, 3 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, and an increase. So again, 1 and 2 in the same stitch. So I'm going to finish that up and I will be right back. So now I'm at the end of the 8th row now. We are going to increase one more time to get 42 stitches in a round. So at this point, this increase and the increase from the row before is going to be like almost like the cheek area. And then we will do one more row and put in eyes. So this is kind of how it's going to look. So it's kind of flare out right about in this area when we're increasing again. So this row is going to be 4 single crochet and an increase. So the last one was 3, this one will be 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the increase. So 1 and 2 in the same stitch. Okay, so again, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then the increase. 1 and 2 in the same stitch. So I'm going to keep going around, and as you can see, it's starting to kind of flare out. Again, that's going to be the cheeks of our chubby little crow. So we're going to keep going, and you should have 42 stitches in this row by the end where your stitch marker is. So I will do that and I will be right back. So we are at the end of row 9. So we should be at 42 stitches. And as you can see, it's sort of flaring out, which is what we want. So this next round is going to be a little bit intense, but we can get through it. So this row is going to be 4 single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. The next 12 sets are going to be single crochet and a decrease. So we're going to do single crochet and a decrease. I like to do mine as an invisible decrease, which is just taking the first loop of this stitch and the next stitch on my hook. So now you have 2 loops on your hook, and it's just the front. So just the top of those loops. And I'm going to pull through 1, 2, and pull through again. And that is your decrease. So that was 1. So 1 single crochet and a decrease. Again, just the front loops. And then I'm going to pull through both, pull through again. So that's set 2. So I need to do this 10 more times, and then I will be right back. So we are near the end of this row. I did have to change from 4 single crochet to 3. So if y'all don't know by now, I am not very good at math. So we're gonna do 3. So 1, 2, 3 single crochet, and then we're gonna do a decrease. If you find that your stitch marker is in the way, just take it off for now. So again, decrease is taking the first 2 loops of the next 2 stitches and just combining them together. So at this point, you should have 30 stitches in this row, and I did have to count. So as you can see, it is starting to come back together. So you have your head, you have your little cheeks on each side, and now we're going to place the eyes. So what I like to do is take my hook out, make sure I leave a little loop here. That'll all be tucked in. And from my hook, I'm gonna just basically go right across. So this will be kind of like the middle, right? The middle of like your face. So noses, beaks, anything like that. So what I wanna do is for my eyes, I'm going to row 7 and 8. So from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 and 8 are right here. So I'm going to place my eye about here-ish. And this always takes a little bit of time to get used to. So I'm gonna just place one right there. And then I'm gonna count about 6 stitches across. And that's including the one that's behind the eye now. So as you can see, this is my hole, this is my first stitch, second stitch, third, and so forth. So what I want to do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the same row here and put that in. And let's see how that looks. I think that looks pretty good. Looks really cute. And then we're going to add the beak at the very end, and it'll be about here. So I think that's a good look. So let's put in our eyes, our eye backs here. I'm going to use my little pusher because my fingers hurt. So there we go. And you can burn these, you can glue these at the end. It doesn't matter, just as long as you have them secure the way you like to secure them. I just like to do this. There we go. And they are in there. So now I can continue on to making the rest of the body. The next round is going to be increase, and then we're gonna have 28 just single crochet until the very end, okay? So I'm going to increase, so 1 single crochet, there we go, and another single crochet in the same stitch. So like before, an increase is just increasing the row stitches as I go along. So the next thing is just single crochet all the way around for 28 stitches, and then again in the last stitch you're going to do an increase. Okay, so this row will have 32 stitches. Next row, we are on row 12. This row is 2 single crochet and an increase 10 times, and then at the end there are 2 single crochet to finish off the round. So what I want to do is single crochet, and an increase, just like we've done before in the beginning up here. So 2 single crochet and an increase, and do that 10 times. So that set 10 times. So that was 1 set, we're on the second, 2, and then an increase, and this would finish off the second set. So now I need to do 8 more sets and then finish off with the 2 single crochet at the very end. So I'm gonna go do that and I will be right back. So I have 42 stitches in this last round I did. And as you can see, it's starting to flare back out. This is going to make the chubby little body. I'm very excited, so cute. So the next round is round 13, is going to be 2 single crochet and an increase, 14 sets of those. So again, 1, 2, and an increase. So I'm going to do that all the way around. Again, that was one set. So 1, 2, and an increase. I'm going to do this another 12 times, just in that pattern, going all the way around, coming up with 56 stitches for that round. So once I'm finished, I will come back. We're finished with that round, and as you can see, it started to flare out here, and that's what we wanted. We want the body to be bigger than the head. So what we're gonna do now is I'm set at 56 stitches as being the biggest round that I have in my pattern. So I'm just going to single crochet 4 rounds, each one having, again, 56 stitches, and just single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, and going around 56 times until I get to my stitch marker, and I'm going to do that 4 times. So it'll start to look a lot like the head did up here. It'll start to move down, and it'll make that little body shape going around. So once I get done with those 4 rounds, I'll be right back. So I finished the 4 rounds, and it looks really weird. I know, don't worry. This is just the little chubby body. So it won't be this big, it'll just be rounded out. So what we're gonna do is on the next round, we're going to do 2 single crochet and a decrease. So 1, 2, keeping my tension fairly tight, and then the decrease is again the first 2 loops in the next 2 stitches, because we're going down, so that becomes a decrease. Okay, so let's do that one more time. So 1, 2 single crochet, and then the decrease is going to be these 2 here. So front loop, pull through, pull through. Okay, and we're going to do that 12 more times to get all the way around, and you should end up with 42 stitches in this round. So I am finished with that last round, and as you can see, the body is coming back down together. It's not so much flared out anymore. So from the bottom, you can see that it's getting kind of closed up now. So the next round, again, is going to be another decrease round, so it'll bring it in even further. And this one is going to be a single crochet and a decrease. So 1, and then your decrease. Again, front loop, pull through, pull through. Okay, so another one, 1 single crochet and a decrease. So front loop, pull through, pull through. Okay, so now we're going to do that 12 more times, and then you will end up with a round of 28 stitches instead of 42. So we're shrinking this hole down even further, and once that's finished, I will be right back. So now that we're finished with that round, the next round is just going to be a round of single crochet. So we're just going to do 28 stitches in this round, and we'll be right back. So I am finished with that round, and now we're going to do the round that has the 2 little chubby little feet. So it's going to look a little bit like this. So since it's on the bottom, because it does face the bottom, they're going to be right about there. All right, so I have my other color here, so it's just going to be gray like the rest of them. I am going to do, based on your tension, how I want to do the feet is, you can see here, I have the 2 eyes. I want to try to match the feet up as much as I can to be fairly similar to the eyes. So this is going to probably vary from person to person depending on your tension. So just try to eyeball and see what looks good. I just start out with 10 single crochet and see where I'm at. So 1, 2, 10. And now I'm going to just look to see if I want to make a foot or not. Because my foot will be in this one. I think I'm going to do maybe 1 more stitch. So 1 more. So, but I'm not going to finish it out, okay? So now I want to color change, and this is how I color change. So you don't want to pull through on that very last one. I'm going to get my other color here, and I'm going to pull that through instead of the other color, okay? So that's how I do that. I'm going to do a bobble stitch of at least 4 or 5 in this next stitch. So you take your hook, you wrap it, you go in that stitch, you pull through once, okay? And keep these 2 on your hook. Go again, wrap, put through the same stitch, pull through just the first 2. Now you have 3. So one more time, pull through 2 only. Now you have 4. I'm gonna do one more just because I want little chubby feet. So I'm gonna pull it through 2, and now you have 5 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on your hook. And now I'm gonna pull through, I'm gonna wrap and pull through all 5 of those, okay? So it's kind of right about there. And that's kind of where I'm kind of eyeballing. So I'm going to go into the next stitch, just a single crochet. So I'm going to wrap, pull through, but not finish it out. All right, I'm gonna switch to my other color, and I'm gonna pull this through, wrap it, pull through, pull tight on your other one from behind, pop out your bobble. There we go. All right, now you can keep going with your single crochet. So there's a little foot, all right? And it's kind of in line with the eye. Again, I'm just eyeballing this because everybody's tension's different. So I'm going to do, so that was 1 single crochet, so that does count as 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see where we're at here. And if it does help, you can stuff it at this point just to see if you are lining up your feet correctly. So there's 4 there. I think I'm gonna do maybe a couple more, maybe 5 and 6. Let's see here. I think that's gonna be a good spot right over here. So I might even go back. I might go back 1 just because I need to start my foot there. So my feet are gonna be basically right here. So I'm still trying to see because I don't want them to be off. So I want it to be right here. So I think that's good. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So on the 5th stitch, I'm just gonna go back just 1 little step here. There we go. Just so I can sling on my other color. So maybe if I don't have it all twisted here. And I haven't cut anything back here just yet, okay? So I'm gonna sling on my gray. All right, now I'm gonna do the bobble stitch again. So I'm going to wrap my yarn, and in the next stitch, I'm going to pull through just like a single crochet and go through the first 2. So you keep these on your hook. So again, you pull through just the first 2. So now you have 3. Go again, this will be the 4th loop. And there we go, there's 4. And 1 more since I did 5 on the other foot. I'm gonna do 5 on this one, pull through 2. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then pull through all of them. And then I'm going to keep on my gray, go into the next stitch, and only do about a half of the single crochet as I want to change my color again. And you just pull that through like so, pop out your bobble, pull your tail from behind just to kind of get it a little bit tighter. And then that would be the 2 feet. And they're fairly even, and that's okay. You just have to eyeball it a little bit. So I'm going to finish out the row with single crochet. Okay, so this is what it looks like from the bottom. And what I like to do is just cut the tail of the gray, since we're not going to use it for any more of the body pattern. So here we go. I just make a little knot, and don't make it too tight because you don't want your feet to be pulled in together. So you want to keep it fairly loose, but just stick those in, okay? So now we are at this point. I am going to stuff my little chubby bird from the head to the body, and then we'll go to the next round. So I have filled my little crow here, and he's all filled out, very, very chubby. I love it. It's so cute. So his little feet are on the bottom. So now we have only 2 more rows to go to finish this crow body up. So the next row is going to be back loops only, okay? And they're gonna be just decreases. So there'll be 14 decreases all the way around to give you 14 stitches in that row. So back loops, if you can see here, I will come up here. There are two little loops, if you can see. So one here and one back here. We're gonna go towards the back ones all the way around, okay? So only using the back loop of each of those stitches, okay? So this is what it's gonna look like. So we have 1, all right, since it's a decrease, we have to do 2 of the stitches. So, and this is probably the hardest row, at least for me. I'm going to do a decrease or an invisible decrease and pull through, okay? Let me show you a little bit slower. Maybe I can do it a little bit looser here. So we have a back loop only. So I'm not going through the whole thing. I'm going through this back loop, right? Going through the back loop of the next stitch as well. Again, this is very hard to do on camera. There we go. And then you're gonna just pull through both and then pull through again, okay? And you're gonna do that all the way around, just decreases on the back loops. We are here, we are stuffed, and we are on the last round, woohoo! So the next round for the last one is going to be decreases all the way around. So you're gonna do 7 decreases to have 7 stitches in that round. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to do invisible decreases. Again, that's what I like to do on my projects. You don't have to, but I'm just gonna take the front loops of the first 2 stitches here and pull through. So I'm gonna do that all the way around and then we will finish up. So for this next part, I am going to do the beak. So you're just gonna embroider the beak. However you embroider, that's totally fine. I just come from the side here. I go over. I'm gonna do a little bit below the eyes, not all the way in the center. I'm going to pull through as much as I think I'm going to need. I always do more just in case. So I do about 3 or 4 times to embroider my beak. You can do 2, just to have 2 lips. That's fine too, that looks cute. But I'm gonna do 3 or 4 just to make the beak a little bit more 3D. So again, and once more in the same hole here, and try and get it to where I want it to sit here. So pull that tight and then come back out the same hole, and then I'm gonna tie it off, okay? Pull it tight, tie it off, cut real close, and then I'm gonna just push that into my project. There we go. Okay. There we go. Kind of fix that. There we go. And there we go. There's a little beak. So the next part is going to be the floof on the top of the head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just sling this on. No need to sew. I'm just going to poke my hook through the very top loop here. I think I want to do just a little bit in front. So the very first magic ring, I'm going to pull that through, and then I'm going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 5, so chain 5. And then I'm going to do the second from the hook, which would be here. I'm going to do a half double crochet and a slip stitch into the same stitch. So I'm going to go right here. So a half double crochet is wrapping my yarn, going through just the top of that stitch, pulling through, and then you have 3 loops on your hook here. I'm going to pull through all 3 at once. Okay, and then I'm going to slip stitch, which is just going through your stitch, that same stitch that you did your half double crochet, pulling through. And instead of doing one more stitch, you're just going to pull that same stitch all the way through. Okay, you give it a little bit of a bump here. All right, so the next thing is you chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and you're going to slip stitch into this same stitch that you did for your half double crochet from the previous mark. So you just go in, because we don't have to wrap it. Since this is a slip stitch, you pull your yarn through, and then one more time through the loop that's already on your hook. Okay, now we're going to just go down the little tassel here through the chains, and you're going to slip stitch down. So just slip stitch, again, slip stitch, slip stitch, slip stitch one more time, slip stitch. Okay, and now what I like to do is in the next stitch over from where you started, I just like to do just a single crochet. Okay, and then that way you get your little tassel on top, your little floof. But I'm going to fasten this down. So we're going to finish this off, pull a loop, cut the tail, pull it through, and then I'm going to use my needle, and I'm going to go right where it ended, right about here. Okay, pull it through, down below, there we go. And this tail here needs to do the same. So you want to get it in the same spot as your other one, right down in here, just like so. Okay, and then you have your floof on top, and it's standing straight up, which is the cutest thing. I am going to make a knot here like we did for the beak. I'm going to cut and then stuff the knot back inside the project, just like so. And there's your little floofy. There's your little floof. Okay, so for this next part, we're going to be doing the tail. And what I like to do is, here's the front. I just flip it right to the back here. If you want to be very precise, this is going to be between row 18 and 19. I just pick a good spot where it's sitting, and I kind of just, it's right about here. So I'm going to go, it's going to have about 2 to 4 feathers here for the tail. So I kind of want to go just a little bit further than right in the center. So I'm going to sling this on, so between these rows. So I have my yarn, I sling on. I am going to chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Second from the hook, just like we did with the floof, we're going to half double crochet. So you wrap your yarn, you go in to the top of that stitch, and then you wrap and pull through all 3. So that's a half double crochet. So now what I'm going to do is do a slip stitch. So you go in the same stitch, you pull this through, and then you pull through your stitch that's on your hook. Now what I'm going to do is crochet 3, 1, 2, 3, or chain 3, excuse me. Then I'm going to go into the next stitch right next to it, the first one. And I'm going to slip stitch. So I've got my stitch on my hook. It's very hard to see, I know. So just pull that through there. So there's your first feather. See how that is? Cute little feather. Okay. So you're going to do this 2 to 3 more times, depending on what you want for your tail feather to look like. I'm gonna do probably around 3. So again, we'll go again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to half double crochet the second from the hook, there, pull through, and then I'm going to slip stitch in that same stitch, just like so. And then I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, the next one over, I'm going to slip stitch like so, and do 5 more chains. There's our tail feathers right there. Boom, so cute. Cute little tail feathers. So I'm gonna pull this a little bit just to get a little bit of a tail here. I'm going to cut my yarn, pull this through, and then I'm going to do just like the other process with the floof. I'm just going to push it in and have it come out right around here. It doesn't matter where, just as long as both of these strings, the tails, end up at the same spot so you can make a knot. All right, and there's your little tail. Ta-da. So for this next part, this will be the last little bit that needs to go on your little crow, is the wings on the side. So they look more like feathers. So what I'm gonna do is, since I'm right-handed, this will be vice versa if you are left-handed. So I'm going to tip my project head towards me, and then I'm gonna kind of gauge right at the edge of the eye where I wanna start my feathers at. So if you're looking, this is about row 10 to 11. So I'm gonna count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So right around here, and it's about 1 or 2 stitches away from the eye where I'm gonna start. So I'm gonna sling my yarn on. I'm going to chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go into the next stitch right next to this one right here. So this is the one I'm going into, and I'm just going to slip stitch that. So there we go. All right, 1 little feather. So we're gonna do 2 more of these. So now you're not going to cut it, okay? You're not going to cut it. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna flip your project away from you now, just like so. I am going to go down 1 row. So I'm up here, I need to go down here. So I'm just going to basically single crochet down 1 row, okay? So now your project looks like this. So now the head is away from you and the butt is towards you, okay? So what you're gonna do now is you're going to chain 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay? And now you're gonna do the same thing as you did from above. You're just gonna go into the next stitch and slip stitch that. All right, and then do another chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And you're gonna go into the next stitch and you're gonna slip stitch that on. So you have your 3 feathers on top and 3 feathers on the bottom. I'm going to pull this a little bit. We're going to give it a little bit of a tail. I'm going to cut my yarn, pull this through like so. And then I'm going to do just like the tail and the floof, and then just kind of straighten out your feathers here, make them floofy. See how cute that looks now? That looks super cute. So you're going to do the other side just like before. And for me, I like to do the head towards you, but instead of starting over here, if you're right-handed, you're going to start a little further back, and you can judge by how far this is. I just kind of eyeball it right about here, like so, to start. Let me not get fluff in there. Okay, so I'm going to do the top row, single crochet down 1, and then move over this way with my 3 feathers for the bottom. And then I'm going to repeat the closure like before. Okay, so I'm going to do that and we'll come back. So here we are. We are done with our chubby little crow. And yes, it is pink, I understand. But it's just easier to show. So here we are, our chubby little crow. Thank you for joining me today in this crochet tutorial. If you would like to show some appreciation, leaving a like, subscribing would be great. It really does help. I really do appreciate it. And hopefully you make your own little baby chubby crow. And yeah, that's it for me today, guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye.